All right. Happy Friday evening to everybody out there. Thank you for joining. For those of you that are here already, and tonight we on Friday nights we at 10 o'clock Eastern time we just do some live Q&A where I answer questions about data careers mostly. We talk about some interview questions. Really, anything data engineering is kind of up for grabs. And so tonight, I have the O'Reilly technology trends for 2025 that I want to touch on briefly, just as we get going here. I'm going to show it up on share something on the screen with you all with the O'Reilly trends report, technology trends for 2025, and kind of what they're predicting. Specifically around data engineering. So, again, if for those of you out there that are here already, I appreciate it. If you have any questions as I'm going through anything, be sure to pop them in the chat and we'll discuss it, whether it be something that I'm going over or something that you'd like to see me go over or discuss. Again, happy to answer any questions for those of you that are here regularly. You know that any questions are really up for grabs. So, without further ado, I am going to show you a few things here. So we've got a few things here up on the screen. One, I am really excited. We have passed 1,000 subscribers as part of our community as of a couple days ago. So really super excited about that. Thank you all for watching and for joining. For all of our new subscribers, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Uh, Hopefully you're getting something out of the content that I'm putting out there and you're enjoying it and you're learning and you're going to turn around and using some of it. So appreciate all of you and thank you very much. So that out of the way, I want to get into this technology trends for 2025. And I've got a few on the left here. I've got a few quotes that I pulled from the technology trends article. One is that, data engineering skills in 2024 experienced a 29% increase, really underscoring this critical role that data has in powering a lot of the AI applications that are out there and just the AI technology in general. And there's a lot about AI and these technology trends for 2025, which I'm sure that everybody else has seen too, is really a trend. Uh, that's not going to slow down anytime soon. So another one, I'm just going to read through these real quick. But the future is not about fearing AI's impact on jobs, but harnessing that potential to really enhance productivity and drive innovation across industries. And that's something we've talked about on these Friday Night Lives before. Is that's a question that comes up from time to time. Um, Probably once a week ish, I get that question in one of the comments on one of the videos that I put out. How is AI? How do I see AI impacting data engineering jobs specifically going into 2025, going into 2028 even? Um, and I've always said that AI is not taking away any data engineering jobs. Just like the rest of my 25-year career has been, the data ecosystem continues to grow. It continues to evolve, and continuous learning is part of being a data professional. Whether you're an engineer, a scientist, or an analyst, it is part of the job. Is continuously learning new things, continuously learning new languages, whether that be Python or Java or C or Rust, whatever the case may be, in order to effectively and efficiently move data from one place to another, transform it, massage it, get it into the format that your end user needs in order to make those decisions that they need to make for the business. And AI is just another one of those tools that are coming out that is, pushing us to evolve further. Um, and this is a big one. This next quote addresses that. We don't believe that AI is coming for your job. However, we do believe that the future will belong to those who learn to use AI effectively. Again, that's a message that we continue to reinforce on this Friday night show. Um, and I'm open to to debate on that if anybody has other thoughts. And this last one, is what I've put in here. How do you see AI and data engineering really shaping the future of your career? Um, Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd really love to hear your opinions. Um, and maybe I'll use some of those ideas for some of my content going forward and addressing some of those situations. So, super excited about that. Um, so, let's get into the technology trends for 2025 here. I'm going to check our messages, just make sure that we don't have any comments. So, technology trends for 2025. Again, really, this is really great article for those of you that are interested in it. I'll put the link in the comments that you could go out and download the article as well. I have a LinkedIn post as well that talking about it that does have the link directly to the trends report. So O'Reilly Trends Report. Page 15 is really what I want to take a look at here. So this is just a chart. Get rid of this. Really just a graph of comparison between 2023 and 2024 and the growth. You see that we're that 29% growth in data engineering between 2023 and 24. The dark blue line's 24 here. A little bit of a growth in SQL. Relational databases kind of going down. The article talks about how while data engineering and ETL and data lake have increased, we have some fundamental pieces that had decreased between 23 and 24, and that relational databases. I mean, no SQL databases, we kind of forget about that, but Microsoft SQL Server is down, maybe because of the migration to Azure SQL Server, but it's still down a little bit. Data warehouses remain stagnant. Oracle's down a little bit. BI is about the same. Salesforce decreased a little bit. ETL went up. So some decreases here in some fundamental skills. And I would caution those of you that are out there that are studying to be a data engineer, that are trying to learn these skills, don't pass up the fundamentals. We're going to talk about kind of what that data engineering roadmap looks like for you going into 2025 tonight. And if you haven't, please ask questions as we go along. Stop me. I'm happy to discuss whatever questions that you may have. But we're going to talk about the roadmap for 2025, and in there, I'm talking about SQL being that fundamental, regardless of which of the data professions you're going into. SQL always remains that fundamental knowledge that you have to have, regardless of which data discipline you're going to go into. And understanding relational databases is a huge piece of the concepts that you need to learn, and we'll talk about those concepts later. But scroll up here real quick just to reinforce that again, it's not surprising data engineering skills showed a solid 29% increase between 23 and 24. SQL is up 3.2%. Power BI was up 3%. Along with some of the general topics, BI, Postgres is looking to kind of start to overtake MySQL, and that's because Postgres is such a versatile database, and we have an RDS Postgres within that you can spin up within AWS, which is really awesome. But definitely some options with Postgres there that have driven people to learn more about it. And ETL grew 102% this past year. Now, as you saw, ETL really has a small percentage here to begin with. So it has plenty of room for growth when it comes to people learning that specific skill set. But wanted to talk about this and kind of what that means for us as data professionals going forward. we see more people entering into that data career, and I wouldn't say that it's flooded. There's plenty of work, especially for data engineers out there. The problem is that you need to find a way to get some practical experience before a larger company is going to hire you to impact their data, to actually do the data engineering. Or you're going to have to take a job that is maybe QA, or maybe a DBA position, or maybe a data analyst position, where you are, potentially looking at doing some of those other professions in order to get those skills, in order to kind of show that you have the ability to move into that data engineering role. And so, I have, I've talked a lot on LinkedIn lately about how you could do that. Because I think that there's a lot of people out there, as we start the year, people make New Year's resolutions, and want to get those messages out there about how you do that. So, be sure to check out some of my LinkedIn posts on that. And that, also, for those of you that are part of our DataSphere, the Gambill DataSphere community, and have signed up for the blog posts I put on the website, on the blog posts, and this is a video that's going to come out on Monday, but on the blog post, one of the comments for one of the videos was asking what that 2025 roadmap looks like, and how do I build a professional project-based resume from a fresher perspective, right? From somebody that doesn't have experience, from that kind of newbie junior level perspective, that maybe they're just out of college, or maybe they are in a career now that doesn't have anything to do with data, anything to do with programming, and they don't have any other practical skills, practical knowledge, and in the form of a actual job that they've had, position that they've had, and they need to use their projects to leverage those skills, to show those skills off on their resume, so that they could get their foot in the door and get an interview. And we'll be talking about what that resume looks like and how you could format that resume to try to get the attention of recruiters. And so we'll kind of talk about that tonight as well. Again, if you have any questions, be sure to stop me, ask questions in the chat, and we'll address them. But but definitely wanted to talk about this trend report. Again, O'Reilly is a leader in technology in the industry, and be sure to go out and check out the technology trends for 2025 if you're interested in taking a look at that. So we're gonna switch back. We're gonna have a little bit of a mirror effect here real quick as I switch back to me. So we talked about the technology trends for 2025. It does, for those of you that are out there watching, let me know down in the comments, was any of that a surprise for you? I mean, AI has been so big this past year, really has grown and evolved quite a bit, and has become more prevalent and predominant in the industry. So it's out there. It's not going anywhere. It is a tool that you could use to further your career and further your knowledge. So let's say we jump into the roadmap. And so for those of you that don't know, that haven't been to the website, the website's GambilldataEngineering.com. It's in the little ticker bar. And on the website, we have a roadmap. And I'm going to go back to sharing my screen here. On the data engineering website, we have a roadmap, and the roadmap is in the form of a honeycomb, because I really think that your path, your journey throughout your career is more than a roadmap. It is, choose your own adventure more than a specific path that you have to take. Everybody's path in data engineering and in the data professions is different. Everybody starts from a different place. You may have already been able to check off some of these boxes, some of these honeycombs on this list, and we'll take a look at it. I have a different version here that's a little bit better. Give me a sec. Um, but you'll see that, and I'm going to open up one that has a little bit better definition here. But you'll see in the center, that SQL again is really the heart of the data engineering traits. And I have this broken up into 4 sections. There is the programming piece, the soft skills piece, the concepts, and the software and platforms. Um, so as you're looking through this, it is kind of broken up into grouped into those sections with the heart. The concept of this is that you start in the middle, you start at the center with SQL, and you start to work your way out, and you start to kind of build that armor of skills around you that help to push you into your data engineering career and help to push you into levels of senior staff and leadership if that's the direction that you choose to go into. Um, so, sorry, bear with me just a second here. Um, that being said, where is that? Crap. Oh, here it is. Zoom in here and we get a little bit better definition. Again, you see in the center here, we have the basic SQL, intermediate SQL, advanced SQL. From there, you could start to branch out into Python and intermediate Python. APIs are a big deal, but don't neglect the soft skills. Don't neglect your communication piece, your teamwork piece, being sociable. Those are things that will, for those of you that may already be in a sales or customer service career, are transferable from those careers into your data professions. Those are things that you could work on without having to have any additional technical skills, without having to be in front of a computer. As you're practicing those skills, remember where you came from. Remember you came from too, at some point, a place of not understanding what these technology terms meant, not maybe understanding what an API is, not understanding what a data source is and what ETL means or ELT means, what ML is, that it's machine learning, right? And how would you like somebody to explain that to you in a way that makes sense to you when you were first learning? And use those analogies. Analogies are a fantastic tool when you're communicating with others. To get your point across, and to especially when you're explaining technology terms. You see Linux in here, and absolutely you see Excel in here. Excel is an important piece. So anyways, so this honeycomb of traits, again, start with the center and you start to build that, your career around SQL. Basically, you add in your soft skills, you add in the concepts. Again, data warehousing, data modeling are so important, especially for data engineers. It's something that maybe you don't necessarily have to understand right when you get into your career, because you're probably going into that analyst career, uh, analyst role, and maybe data modeling and data warehousing is something that you could start to learn to and add on as you move into your career, as you progress into that data engineering role. Um, but SQL you have to have regardless. Um, Cloud platforms, adding in the cloud platforms, and then you start to build out. And you notice on the edges here, some of the edges kind of bleed into some of the other professions, right? Some of the other data realms of machine learning, Power BI and Tableau for the visualization piece when it comes to a BI engineer or an analyst. Excel, understanding Excel again, Excel's not going anywhere, right? Excel and SQL are things that have been around forever, for 50 years, and they're not going anywhere. Um, they're just not. The business users love Excel. You're going to run into situations where you are having to understand what somebody did in Excel so that you could translate it into a pipeline, into an ETL process, so that you could get that data into a format that you could modernize it into a Power BI and Tableau report, right? And part of that's going to be your data engineering piece, where you're taking some of those calculations, some of those transformations, some of that data cleaning that people are doing in Excel, and doing it in a pipeline and more automated format. Anyway, so this data engineer honeycomb of traits, I have a blog out there. It walks you through kind of step by step each of the sections. Be sure you go out there and check that out. And again, I'm always open to feedback. If you think anything is missing from here, let me know. I'm happy to add it. If you think that there's something on here that really doesn't need to be on here anymore, maybe you think that AI doesn't belong on here, or maybe you think that cybersecurity doesn't belong on here. Um, then let me know what you think. I open to that feedback, and I put it on here because I think that they're important at some point in your career as you move into the more senior levels. But but if you don't think so and you have a valid point, I'm happy to hear that as well. So go back here and check my restream and just make sure nobody's asking questions. Very cool. So again, data engineering honeycomb traits. This roadmap page, it walks you through the different pieces of the honeycomb and explains each piece in more detail. You could always reach out to me in my email with my or via the contacts page on the website. And again, on the data engineering concepts page, you'll see the data engineering roadmap and fresher resume guide. So again, let's talk a little bit about the fresher data. The fresher data engineering resume. And so again, there's the link on the web page within the blog for the example template for your project based resume. It has a place for your name, your city, state, email address, LinkedIn profile, GitHub profile. You put all that at the top. Again, make this your own. Change the words to be your words. You're going to be the one that is supporting this and reinforcing this as you move into your interviews. But be sure that you are taking a look at that and making these your own words. It's good to have an objective. It doesn't need to be a paragraph, a sentence, short, brief, to the point. Your whole resume shouldn't be more than a page at this point. Maybe after you have 15, 20 years of experience, it might be 2 pages if you really have a whole lot of different careers, different positions that you've held over the years, or maybe different companies that you've been able to help over the years, and you want to put all those in there. But try to keep it to a page, keep it sweet, to the point. You're just trying to get your foot in the door here with your resume, right? So short objective, motivated data engineering graduate, passionate about designing scalable data engineering solutions, optimizing workflows, and delivering actionable insights. Seeking to leverage my skills and hands-on project experience to contribute to data-driven solutions. I'm going to zoom in here so you'd see it a little bit better, maybe. And then from there, put some skills. Throw your skills in here. Programming skills, data tools, cloud platforms that you may have experience in, and any other data skills that you may have. Data modeling, ETL pipelines, Tableau, Power BI. Whatever skills that you have, again, keep it short, to the point, hit the highlights, and move on. The next piece is the projects. This is where you're going to need to shine, right? Because this is where you're taking some of the projects that you've done and using them to showcase your skills, because you don't have a position where you were able to showcase those skills yet. You're trying to get in the door. So, projects, and these won't be your projects. You need to have your own projects that you're putting in here. Don't just copy and paste this, because again, you're going to need to support this in your interview. And I'm telling you, a hiring manager is going to hear your words and how you're explaining things, and hear you maybe miss things that are real obvious. during your interview, and some of it can be excused for nervousness, but a lot of it, they're going to see through if they're not projects that you really did. So you need to understand the project in and out as you're putting it on here and as you're walking through the project yourself. So, we've got an ETL pipeline for some e-commerce data, talking about what you did, what skills you used, um, what the user experience was, and what the outcome is. Your value, being able to vocalize and communicate your data value back to the business, is really important as you're writing your resume, as you're in front of the hiring manager actually talking to them during the interview. Outcome: reduce manual reporting time by 80%. This very much may be realistic, right? You may have taken all of these Excel reports that somebody did that they were spending, maybe 50, 60 hours a month potentially uh, doing. It's a lot of people out there, especially like admin people, they may be spending, you know 10, 15 hours a week on reports for their managers. So, reduce manual reporting time by 80%, because now they just have a Power BI report that automatically refreshes every day that they could go out to and dump it into a PDF and say, here you go. Data warehouse design for retail analytics. The outcome here, that we have in our example is improved query performance by 50%. And your ability to talk through how you did that is what's going to help you when you're face to face during the interview. That outcome, don't make it so huge that it's unbelievable, right? Um, Make sure that it's believable. Make sure that um, when you put it on there, it's realistic. I mean, it may be realistic that you improved query performance by 50%. There's been a ton of ancient, like Oracle queries that I've been able to refactor that I have cut down the time that it took to run the queries to do the work by 50-ish%. So, the 50% is a realistic stat. Make sure that it's realistic for in comparison to the activities that you did for that project. And you may not have maybe these are projects that you did that they're personal projects, um, in which case you could talk about um, what you did talk about the tools that you used. You may leave out the outcome piece, but something that I've talked with some of my mentees with, people that I mentor with, is going out into your community and talking to some of the small businesses in your community. See if they'll give you an opportunity to come into their business and help them to create some insights from their data, right? Be very specific with your approach as you approach these businesses. Make sure that you have studied the business, that you understand what their business is. You've researched their website. You have looked at customer reviews, and you could go in there and um, and intelligently talk about what you could do for them as a business with their data, by being able to take some of the data, some of their customer data, and provide insights into how they could better sell to their customers. Or maybe you can, especially this time of year, businesses are out there preparing for taxes, right? Over the next couple months, businesses are out there preparing for taxes. They are dreading having to go out to QuickBooks and export all this data, or go out to all of their bank accounts and export all that data and put it and either print it all out or email it all to their accountant. It's a headache. It's a lot of work. If you had a system that you were able to hit a button, it went out and hit APIs for QuickBooks, or it went out and grabbed these exports, put it all into a nice package that was able to just email directly to an accountant, then you've saved them a huge amount of time, and you've provided real physical tangible value to that business. And so, that's a good way to try and, right now especially, try to sell your services to maybe a local business. And keep in mind, you could go in there on your day off, you go in, you reach out to them via email, via video call, via phone call, and say, hey, I am a data engineer. I'm studying data engineering, and I would like to come in and help you to create some value with the data that you have. Are you willing to talk about it? And get in front of them, talk to them about how you could help them, and use that as a project on your resume. You may have to do it for free, right? Your first couple, in order to get it, get some experience, you may have to do it for free, or you may be able to charge like $50, $75 an hour for your work, or maybe you just say 500, pay me $500 and I can create this for you. There's a lot of cautions around that. Be super careful if you're going to charge, and make sure that you have very clear scopes of work and a signed contract if you do that. But you go out to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT could help you with a contract. Anyways, YouTube Analytics dashboard. Outcome provided actionable insights to optimize content strategy. Again, YouTube itself has a great platform for their stats, but sometimes there's better insights or different insights that you may want to look at specific to your channel. And there's an API for that. You could go out, hit that API, get that data, and put it into a database, structure it, practice data modeling, create a Power BI report or a Tableau or Looker report that takes that data and visualizes it in a different way than maybe you would get from YouTube Studio, and again, provide value to other YouTube creators, and or if you have your own YouTube channel, create different values and different visualizations for yourself. Finally, after you get through your projects, we talk about certifications. Don't go crazy with going out and getting every certification out there known to man, right? But a few certifications that are very targeted to the uh, the industry or the specific job role that you're trying to target when you're applying to jobs is fine. AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner is one. It's one of the lower end ones. There's an AWS Data Engineer one. Obviously, you have the Azure Data Fundamentals. You have the Azure Data Engineer Associate. And then Google's got a couple. IBM has some really in-depth ones that you can get and really go really in depth, and try to get those certs. So again, super. There's a ton of certs out there. Don't go crazy on them, but whatever you do get, be sure to put a few of them that are relevant to the job you're applying for in your resume that you send out. And then finally, your education. If you have education, plenty of you out there may be, self-study, maybe teaching yourself, and that's fine too. For the first 15 years of my career, I didn't have a degree. And then I went back and finished up my bachelor's degree, and went back and got my master's degree. But for the first 15 years of my career, I didn't have a degree. So that's fine. You don't have to have a degree to be in a data role. So that is the resume. And again, there's a full video that I'm doing that is that I've done that's coming out on Monday for that will both go over the honeycomb as well as the resume again. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. It's been several weeks since I've been out here. Our last live session was with doing an interview with Mark Quinn from Australia, and how he transitioned from being a data analyst to being a data engineer, and how much he loves being a data engineer now. Uh, and that was a fantastic Q&A session and fantastic interview that I had with him. Had a lot of insights. We got a little hung up on talking about Google Analytics for a little bit, but overall, the whole thing was a fantastic interview. I love doing it. I love doing those interviews with other people. And so if anybody out there, maybe you've been in a data analyst role and you're getting ready to move into a data engineer position, or trying to get into a data engineer position, or maybe you are already a data engineer and you would like to jump on one of these live sessions with me, let me know. Reach out to me. You could reach out to me via email, via the Discord channel, um, or uh, or via the contact me page on the website. So happy to always promote others. So if you're looking for a new career, maybe then it's a way to promote yourself, and you could share the link to your potential employer. But would love to help to promote you as well. So again, if anybody has any questions, be happy to answer questions in the chat. We generally, hopefully I'm not just missing questions. We generally, talk a lot about, different interview questions. I've posted a few. Sounds like me. I've posted a few videos here lately about some interview questions, specifically around. Honestly, don't. It's been a crazy few weeks, but you know, I've talked about the difference between where and having, right? Understanding the order of operations for a SQL is a question that you're going to get during an interview. What's the difference between using a where statement and using a having statement? And how long do you linger here? About an hour, usually about an hour, Nathan. Sometimes, if we get into some real in-depth questions, and sometimes I'll end up here about an hour and a half, but usually right at an hour, from 10 to 11 Eastern time. So, okay, data engineering interview question. Where, having, a difference between where and having, and of course, 3-hour interview. Some of those, like Amazon interviews, are half a day, and they tell you up front. Sounds crude. 3-hour interview can be grueling. How'd it go? How do you feel about it afterwards, Nathan? I'll say that as we're waiting for Nathan to respond here, the Amazon interviews are like that. You go through a couple of rounds. We go through a round with HR, you go through a round with the hiring manager, and then they tell you, okay, the next round is a half a day, and it's a whole half a day back to back to back of technical and panel interviews. You have 4-hour-long interviews back to back. So some of them can be super grueling. Well, Nathan, I hope it went well. Super excited. I'm glad that it was reasonable. I understand that a 3-hour interview has got to be mentally exhausting at the end of that. That's a heck of a day. So so again, just some interviews are 30, 45 minutes, and you might have 2 or 3 rounds. The bigger tech companies, they do have those kind of half a day marathon interview, 1 hour each, 3 hours. Yeah. They have those, kind of half a day marathon interviews. And I'll say that when I went to when I went to interview at Cirrus Aircraft, they brought me into the office, and it was um, it was all day. I got there about 9 o'clock in the morning, um, and they brought in lunch, and we talked, and it was like really chill. They put me in a room, and I talked to different people. Some of it was video chat, some of it was in person, and it was actually really cool. Um, and I still have a working relationship with Cirrus, even after I left there, and consult with them. So, um, culture fit, yeah. Where in heaven, though? Okay, so where in heaven? Um, when you're talking about SQL, right? You're gonna get, for any of the data professions, you're gonna get several SQL questions, in addition to some tooling questions and some other maybe Python questions, depending on the role. But SQL questions are going to be a big piece of it, and they're going to want to understand things like joins, understanding kind of order of operations, culture fit, architectures in the cloud. Yeah, the culture fit. Those are big pieces that Nathan's talking about here. But difference between where and having, you know, when you're writing out your SQL, right? You're writing select, from, where, group by, having, and then order by finally at the end. And you have to understand also that for SQL, that's not the order that it actually processes that query, right? That's the interesting part about SQL, is that while that's the order you write it in, it's not the order that it executes in. The select statement actually happens after, further down after the group by. And so it, after the from. And so you are processing you know, the from, the group by, and then the select, and then you're having. And so that's why you can use aliases in your order by statement, but you can't use aliases in your where statement. Um, so understanding that the order of execution is different than the order in which you actually physically write it is important to understand, especially when you're trying to look to make things more efficient. Um, and so that's important to understand. And understanding for where and having, that where is for I'm sorry, group by between, uh, yeah, where and having is that where comes before your group by, having comes after your group by. So you're using your where to, shorten that, to kind of shrink your data set before you're doing your group by. Then you're going to do your group by, and then you're going to say, okay, then having, right? So for example, if you are if you have a row number, right? If you have maybe a window function and you have a row number in there, then you're going to use your group by, and then you're having to filter for your, maybe your row number equals 1, right? Maybe you're writing a query to get, to remove the duplicates and only view the duplicates, and only view the the records that you want to view. Um, Obviously the only records you want to view, but only view the, um, you know, the non-duplicate records. And then, in some cases, you may be looking for departments that, or maybe sales reps, for example. Maybe you're doing an aggregate for sales reps, and you only want to see sales reps that have greater than $1,000 in sales for the month. And so that, that aggregation piece doesn't happen till after your group by. So you can't filter for it in your where, you should filter for it in your having, right? And being able to logically explain that in an interview is important. It's a question you'll get. in addition, you'll get the question about, CTEs. Yeah, I get the question, have gotten the question several times over the years. What's the difference between a CTE and a subquery, and when do you use each? That's an important piece to understand. What are the different types of joins, and when would you use different types of joins? What's a Cartesian join? What's a Cartesian product? Um, those are important pieces to know as a data engineer, as any as you're going through your SQL questions. Um, Nathan kind of shared some of uh, his three different interviews that he went through today. So culture fit is one that happens all the time. Architecture in the cloud, absolutely, and infrastructure with some live language. Yeah, there's usually some type of practical uh, programming piece to your interview process, whether that be um, a assessment, through one of the assessment platforms, or whether that be a in person like whiteboarding type thing. Um, for me, I'd rather do an assessment than a whiteboarding because it's like somebody looking over your shoulder. When you're whiteboarding, you never can quite spell things right. You never can quite things don't always go quite right when somebody's looking over your shoulder. Um, uh, nice layers of how I understood SQL and taking this to how it actually executes. Um, yeah, it a lot of people don't realize that it actually executes in a different order than than you actually write it out in. So it's an important piece to know. A lot of freshers and a lot of juniors either don't know it or had forgotten it. Um, if it was taught in school or in any of the uh, materials that they uh, dual cursor madness. Nathan says it was do you all see the chat that comes up on the side? I think so, but so yeah, I bet it was dual cursor madness. uh kind of like when you're both in like lucid chart or something, and or some of the various like OneNote, or if you're in like Excel in 365 or something, several people in there at the same time. uh, gets crazy, could get crazy. Awesome. uh, Nathan, I think it's just you and me, so if you have any questions, be sure to pop them in there, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope that your interview went well today. I look forward to uh, hearing if you get an offer. That's awesome. It, it's always good to go into to come out of an interview and feel like, oh wow, that was a great experience. So many interviews you walk into and you're like, oh my god. But yeah, I've been lucky over the years, and I've had several where I've walked out and been like, hey, I would be friends with those people, like that was cool. So um, so if you could go in there and be yourself, and uh, not be too nervous, show them that you have a personality, and show them that you have some technical skills, then probably in pretty good shape. I wish you the best of luck. I really, honestly, sincerely, let me know what happens for coding games live. Very cool. That sounds awesome. Good luck. I hope. Again, let me know. I really, if you don't mind, ping me. Let me know how it went. I'd or if you get an offer. Very much like that vibe. Yeah, yeah. Those are the best. And usually, if you feel that way, you were able to convey that to the people that you're interviewing with, and they'll feel that way too. And hopefully, you'll get an offer soon. Um, that's awesome, especially after 3 hour after 3 hours of interviews. It's good to come out of it feeling that way. Very cool. Um, Awesome. So, I mean, those are the things I wanted to cover tonight. I didn't have a whole lot. Um, Again, if anybody out there, Nathan or anybody else, if y'all have any questions for me, pop them in the chat. If there's anything that you'd like to see me do a video on in the future, let me know. I'm always looking for suggestions. I'm actually looking to go back, especially since we have so many new um, subscribers lately. Probably going to go back and redo some of the early interviews, early interviews, early videos that I did to try and kind of redo them. I went back and I've learned a lot about audio and video over the last 8 months, and need to go back and redo some of them, uh, and just a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera than I was those first couple months. So probably going to redo some of the sequel ones I did up front. Hopefully make them a little bit more presentable. Well, very cool. Nathan, thank you so much again for joining and hopping on here. Uh, I'll hang out here for about another 10 minutes and answer any questions that you may have, or that anybody else jumps on may have. Um, Hopefully these are beneficial to people, and they enjoy them. Usually we get thanks, man. Um, Again, good luck. I hope you get an offer next week sometime. Probably won't happen over the weekend, but hopefully early next week you'll hear something. Absolutely, absolutely. Again, I try to do these on Friday nights at 10 o'clock Eastern, from 10 to 11, and really am open to answering any questions. Whether you have specific questions about some SQL or some Python issues that you've run into and you're stumbling with, or specific how you would answer different interview questions, or what my experience has been over the last 25 years. Happy to answer all those questions. What a day in the life of a data engineer, data analyst really looks like. Um, those are all questions that I can answer. So happy to discuss any of that. And I love doing these. I really, Nathan, I've really enjoyed you jumping on here and sharing your interview process with me today. I'm super excited for you. I hope you get an offer, and and we usually have a handful of people that jump on that are on here. I was doing this every week before Christmas. Over Christmas, kind of fell off for a couple weeks, just with the holidays, and trying to get back into it. But like I said, every Friday night at 10 o'clock, we jump on there, talk about anything data. Again, tonight we talked about that O'Reilly 2025 trends, and awesome, man. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. That's uh, that's awesome. Thanks, man. Um, but I do. I love jumping on here. Usually we get fancy on here. Parva's usually on here. They usually ask, are usually on here too. Uh, I remember kind of fell off over the holidays too. Yeah, it was. Holidays were crazy. Holidays are crazy. New Year's and Christmas being back to back, and uh, all the family. And when you have a little, I have a 10-year-old daughter, so it's a lot of grandparents and relatives and all the things. But getting back into it, and it was busy because I've got a couple of consulting things going on. I've got a more full time gig with the state of Tennessee that I'm working on. So, yeah, man. shoot me an email and we'll sync up, Nathan. I'll and we'll set something up. I love doing the interviews. I think that people get a lot out of them. I think that it's always good to collaborate. Um, that's awesome. Thanks. Yeah, let's sync up. Let's sync up. That'll be great. I look forward to it. So, but yeah, so again, Friday nights we usually get a bunch of questions, or not a bunch. Usually get a handful of questions from our recurring people. Um, as people jump on, they usually realize that I'm pretty open and down to earth. So happy to answer whatever. Happy to talk about really all the things. Um, awesome. Yeah, the state thing is pretty cool. And it's about 35 hours a week, and then I've got a couple of consulting things that are take up about 20 hours of my week. So between that and this keeps me pretty busy, and then my family, of course. Um, but usually balance it pretty well. I don't sleep a lot, but it's okay. Uh, but yeah, I enjoy I enjoy the government work because it is less. It's more fulfilling. Like there's thanks, Nathan. Um, I the Nathan, you're bringing up a good point with the government work. Um, there is something about um, hmm, there's something about the government work that is personally fulfilling to me because of the data set that I'm working with them, and it's the Department of the Treasury, but it is they just the data that I'm working with is really fulfilling. I really enjoy it. Um, some of my other consulting stuff that I'm doing, the data is super interesting, and the I'm getting to work. I get a chance to work with Databricks with some of my other consulting stuff that I'm doing, and so I love Databricks and PySpark, and so um, yeah, man. Uh, sounds good, Nathan. You take it easy, and again, good luck. I look forward to hearing. Um, yeah, some real numbers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The state stuff is kind of low volume. The my other consulting stuff is pretty high volume, um, and so it's working a lot with Databricks and PySpark, um, and doing a lot of transforms, and so it's pretty data heavy. I mean, it's we're talking millions and sometimes tens of millions of records. Um, processing that in a minute ish. So yeah, awesome, man. um but yeah, for those of you, yeah, the PySpark and stuff, yeah, yeah, it is. Databricks, so one of the things that I love right now is that I get to work with right now I'm getting to work with Snowflake, I'm getting to work with Azure, and I'm getting to work with Databricks. um and so yeah, like Spark and Databricks and the parallelism that you get with Spark, and just um, the versatility of being able to create notebooks with Spark and Scala um, and SQL, and kind of bounce between them if you need to, and having that PySpark to take advantage of some of that parallelism, to take advantage of Spark, right? And how quickly it processes things. just like for the for those of you that are just getting into some of this, um, you if you're getting into Python, you're probably getting into pandas. I would encourage you to look at polars. Um, and so, for those of you that maybe, just getting into it, take a look at polars too. Definitely at some point get into PySpark, and Databricks. I love Databricks, and being able to use Delta Lake, and it, I really enjoy it. Um, Mostly because I like the control of having Python. There's a little bit more control that you have there. Um, but yeah, I'm getting to do all that. I'm getting to use Informatica, uh, cloud, you know, the Informatica cloud services, IICS, um, as one of the ETL tools. And so, yeah, I've not gotten to use DuckDB a lot, by the way. But I need to check it out. Uh, yeah, I need to get into some DuckDB. I've not done anything with it, so that's awesome. Um, all right, well, we are hitting our hour. Uh, Nathan, man, yes, Nathan, man, I appreciate you chatting with me. I appreciate it, and we will we'll sync up and connect, and we'll do a collab, and do it. We'll get together and do a live session. But I'm gonna let everybody else go. You all have a great week, and talk to y'all again soon. Thank you all so much.